Hello friends, welcome to our channel. In this video, I shall be explaining the working and installation of fully automatic water level controller for direct online 3-phase oil immersed starter. Firstly, I will explain the working of this oil immersed direct online 3-phase starter. This starter is named as oil immersed. What is oil immersed? Oil immersed is that its contacts along with its coil, magnetic coil, total connections are dipped into oil. This is the container, and we can put oil up till this level, and this is the contactor. All three contacts are dipped along with the coil, are dipped in this oil. So why dipping all these contacts into oil? Because these contacts, when they make or break, there can be a carbon which can develop between the contacts, because this starter carries higher load, and if the motor load is more, then there is likelihood of developing carbon between the contacts. When the contacts are closed, then while closing with each other two contacts, then there is a possibility of developing carbon. And when these are dipped into oil, that developing of carbon possibility is much less as compared to the contactors which are not dipped into oil. And second best thing is that apart from the contacts make break, there is a mechanical movement for this contactor, because when you activate the electromagnetic coil of the contactor, there is a movement of contacts which makes or breaks the supply to the pump motor. So that movement is also dipped into lubricating oil. So life of this contactor is much more than the contactors, those who are not dipped into oil. So this is why we call oil immersed starter. Now coming to the function of this starter, it has two buttons. One green button, that's called start button. When we press this button, it gives supply to the pump motor. These lamps, 3-phase indicators, they show as the pump motor for demonstration purpose. And press the red button, it will switch off the supply to the pump motor. This green button is one NO switch, normally open switch. And when we press this button for 2 to 3 seconds, it activates the coil, and the supply to that coil is routed through the contactor. When we press the contactor in switch on mode, and through those contacts the hold circuit is developed that gives supply to the coil of the contactor, and that hold circuit is routed through this NC switch. This red button is a stop button, but it's a NC switch. When that hold circuit is broken through this NC switch, when we press it, it becomes NO, normally open. That hold circuit is broken and the supply to the contactor is disconnected. And second, that whole circuit is routed through one overload protection relay. So once we activate the hold circuit, that keeps giving supply to the contactor coil unless either the NC switch is pressed for breaking that hold circuit, and second, the overload relay, in the case of overload, the more current being consumed than what we set the overload accordingly. Suppose we set it for 1 ampere or 2 ampere, whatever the capacity of the motor is, we can keep 10 to 20% more of that current consumption for the setting of overload relay. When current consumption increases and exceeds the load what we have set in the overload relay, this relay will break the overload circuit, and accordingly the supply to the contactor coil will be cut off. And finally, the main 3-line supply will be cut off to the pump motor. This is the complete function of this starter. Now coming to the water level controller, this is automatic water level controller model M9600. It comes in the forward packing box. This is the packing box, and it has a couple of nylon ties which will be required to fix the tank sensors into water tanks. One operator's manual. Details of this manual I shall explain later in the video. There is one tank sensor switch installation guide. We have recommended some specifications and dimensions according to the different sizes of tanks. So obviously you can adjust according to the actual requirement, but these are just recommendations. So of course you can change the settings according to your requirement at site. There is one drill template for fixing the controller on wall. There are 3 points given on this template, and you can put it on the wall and mark drilling points with the pencil, and then drill the wall plugs and install this controller on the wall very easily. Inside the box there is one sensor switch. It's a float sensor switch. It's made of very hard plastic and will not pass any electricity into water for sensing levels. It floats along with the levels of water for switch on and off functions. It has been made while keeping in view the ingress protection rating, and has been designed to work with this controller only, and will not work by connecting it directly with the 220 volt supply. And this is the counterweight, adjustable. You can adjust it according to the size of the cabinet and according to your own requirement. Say some customers want sensor to switch on at 50% level, so you can fix it. The lower level will act as the switch on and the top level will act as the switch off level. So that level can be adjusted according to the counterweight and the total length inside of the tank. It has got 1.5 to 2 meters wire along with this. It's one box having a couple of wires, one main lead, 220 volt supply for the controller, one red wire along with one bed switch. And function of this switch I will explain in due course. And one pair of green wires for start button connections. The controller is also packed in a separate box. Few screws and ball plugs for mounting it on the wall. This is the controller. The cabinet is made of ABS material. It's the panel of the controller, one on-off switch, two light indicators, LED indicators, one push to on button for instant motor switch on. This is the push to on button, very soft. And controller has four connectors at the bottom of this cabinet. First 2-wire connector for 220 volt supply for this controller, and second 2-wire connector for start button connections with the starter, and third 3-wire connector for sensor switch wire connections. Colors of wires can be connected as per the colored sticker pasted above this connector. And fourth connector is for 2-wire connections for stop button connections of the starter. This is back side, 2 holes at the bottom and 1 at the top for fixing it on the wall. Coming to the connections, you can fix 220 volt input supply for this controller in the first 2-wire connector, and second 2-wire green wire connector, where these 2 green wires can be connected with the start button connection in parallel position. No wire is to be removed from the existing connections of this start button. We can connect these 2 green wires along with the other wires connected with this start button. And third 2-wire connector is for stop button wire connections. Of course, it's a bed switch connected along with these 2 connectors, and these 2 wires can be connected by removing one of the NC switch, one side point. You remove the wire and connect one of these 2 wires, red wires, with the one point from where the existing wire is removed, and connect the other wire with the wire that has been removed from that contact. I will show you the actual connection later in the video. Now, after completing the connections, when I turn on the controller, there is a standby light that comes on. It shows that the controller is ready to work automatically according to the levels of water, whatever we set for switch on and off for the sensor switch. Now, when water in the overhead tank goes down and reaching a point where we set the sensor for switch on, it will switch on the starter. And when water is fully filled out, it will switch off the supply to the pump motor. And again, switch on, and then reaching the point where we set the sensor for switch off, it will switch off the starter automatically. The controller also has an option for instant motor switch on. This option can be utilized while even if the sensor is not reaching a point where we set the sensor for switch on in anticipation to the scheduled power cuts. Suppose now the water is at 50% level, but we have set the sensor switch for 10% or 20% or 30% level. But before that, if you want to make the motor run, you can use this button for making the motor run instantly. This will switch on the pump motor immediately, but the switch on function will remain automatically. Full, right? Half tank, instantly switch on, and when water is fully filled up, it will go off automatically. This is the prefixed function for on and off and for instant motor switch on. The wiring is so simple that green wires are to be connected along with the 2 points of the start button along with the other wires. And the red wires, one of these 2 points, NO switch, remove 1 point and then install this, connect this red wire, and the other red wire will be connected the wire that is removed from the point of this switch. The main important point and the main feature of this water level controller is that it does not interfere into the functioning of overload protection installed inside of the starter. As I've already explained about the hold circuit that is routed through one NC switch and overload relay, I will explain practically also that it doesn't interfere into the functioning of starter after activating the starter for switch on. That's a switch on. Now, even if it remains in switch on mode, but the controller will remain connected with the starter only for 2 to 3 seconds, and after that it will get separated from the starter, thereby allowing the starter to work independently. So that in case of any overload or short circuit between starter and motor, the overload relays should trip and cut off the supply to the motor, so preventing the motor from substantial damage. So in that case, just to tell you that the hold circuit is working independently, I will show that after activation, if the overload is there, the hold circuit is enrouted through the NC switch and second is overload relay. That hold circuit is activated. If I press this NC switch for breaking the hold circuit in order to switch off the supply to the pump motor, even after switching on the starter through the controller, now it is working through automatic triggering. When I press the stop button, it will stop the motor. So it is very clear that after 2 to 3 seconds, the controller has got nothing to do with the independent functioning of the starter. So starter is fully independent and your motor is fully protected even after you install this automatic system with the starter. I'll show it again to you. Switch on. Now in case there is an overload or short circuit, instantly it will cut off the supply, but the controller will not forcibly give switch on command to the starter. So it will provide full protection to the starter against short circuits or overload. This is the complete function. And this bed switch will provide you the automatic and manual options simultaneously. If you want to use the automatic function, as I have been using right now, the automatic function, right? And if I want to use the water for lawns or car washing or any other purpose, I can switch it off and then turn the bed switch towards manual in on position. In this case, the starter will start functioning manually also. You don't have to change any wiring between controller and starter for using the starter manually or automatically. You have both the options through this bed switch. Auto option, turn it on, and then it will start working automatically with full protection. And if you wish to use manual function, put it on manual and turn this controller off and start using the starter manual. This is the operator's manual. Complete functions have been explained. installation guide, how to connect the sensors and install the sensor switch into water tank. And these are two connections, green wires with 2 points and red wires with this stop button connection. It's a larger image. Green wires will be connected with these 2 points along with the other wires which are already connected with these points. And remove one of these points, black wire, from this point and connect one of these red wires to that point and other red wires with the wire, black wire, that has been removed from this point. That is all. Only one wire has to be removed, and that has to be enrouted through the controller to connect the point from where the black wire has been removed. Some important conditions and technical specifications have also been given, and some precautions that are to be taken while installing this gadget, because the starter is 3-phase and the controller is 220 volts. So it is advised, rather it is important that it should be installed by a trained electrician only. I will explain the connections. These are the red wires which are to be connected with these 2 points. No wires is to be removed. No wire is to be removed from these 2 points. Just connect these 2 green wires along with the other wires and remove this black wire from this point and join that black wire with one of the red wires coming from the controller, and other red wire is to be connected to this point from where this black wire has been removed. That is all. No other connection will require any changes in this. And this is the thermal relay, overload protection relay, and settings can be made according to the current consumption of the motor. So guys, this is my demonstration of fully automatic water level controller and connections with the oil immersed 3-phase direct online starter. If you like the video, please click the like button, and if you wish to buy this gadget, check out the link for online purchase available in the description box of this video. For more details or any query, links of website as well as email ID are also available in the description box. Guys, I would request you to subscribe to the channel, as I am shortly bringing another new model for different types of starter panels. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.